We've worked with San Diego Humane Society now for over 8 years on a variety of projects. And because we work together so much and we've built this great relationship, everyone feels safe to kind of share their ideas. So by working with them to understand how they wanted to engage with their guests, how they wanted to care for their animals, we're able to clearly make decisions along the way and drive the design process forward.
COAR has been a partner for a while, so they kind of know our expectations in terms of materials and the things that are important to us in terms of the functionality of the space, the durability of the space, our cleaning requirements, and what materials work well with those requirements, and what might not. And they've been in the space enough to say, okay, well, that's not great. let's find another way forward.
One of the things that makes San Diego Humane Society stand out as an organization is their eagerness for innovation. They are always challenging what's been set as a standard and continuing to push that boundary of what shelter design looks like so that they can continue improving their facilities and their operations.
Ultimately, this organization is one of the largest humane societies in the country. And that creates a lot of unique situations that there's not always a lot of good case studies for. And so by working with us and working together as a team, a lot of times with our build partner as well, we're able to work together collaboratively to come up with solutions that are unique, but that work for San Diego Humane Society and work for the specific situations that we're dealing with here.
When walking into the space, we really want the guests to experience a strong sense of place and get excited for the opportunity to walk home with a new pet.
One of my favorite spaces is the atrium space that we're in right now.
Because this atrium space is so large, we made a couple design decisions to bring down the scale and make the space feel a little more comfortable and more personal.
We have the arched teal and orange that are part of our brand colors, but never in that kind of a large scale. And it's a little bit fun. We'll have the palm trees in there that people can sit under. It's very California.
One of our main focuses during the design process was how do we activate and better utilize this atrium space? We want you to know exactly where you are and where you need to go. All the main animal spaces branch off of this one area. By centralizing this and using really good, fun signage, you're able to intuitively find your way wherever you're trying to go.
Our visitors or potential adopters were definitely top of mind as we went through the design process for this space, and they took care to try to develop the space in a way that invited somebody to kind of stop and take a moment to learn a little bit more about each animal. The dog space is definitely like that. We call this kind of offset kennel space, sawtooth design. Not sure where that name came from.
The goal of the sawtooth habitats was to create a space that a guest could step into and allow themselves to fully immerse themselves or engage with that specific animal, hopefully creating an emotional connection that encourages them to adopt that animal, or at least want to explore that relationship further.
The consultation spaces were designed to have a more personal interaction with a pet or to get more information from a staff or volunteer. We also have more usable exterior space for the dogs, for staff and volunteers to take dogs out, or for guests to come have an interaction with a dog that they're considering adopting.
This space allows folks to come in and wander around and look at the dogs, look at the cats, and get a sense of, hopefully their more normal behavior, their personalities in a less stressful environment.
We were able to separate the cat area from the dog area, create a really unique space for the cats to be housed. This includes a variety of different size spaces, some larger group cat housing, as well as smaller cat housing and individual kennels as well. This also utilizes some outdoor space for cats and took a otherwise underutilized courtyard space that was within the existing facility and transformed it into one of our favorite spaces, which is the cat catio.
The catio that we added to this space provides, for the first time, outside space for cats.
The small animal area is one of those spaces that really needed to be flexible to accommodate what San Diego Humane Society has now and what they might have in the future.
They have a lot of different types of small animals, and those quantities vary dramatically at any one time. So by creating separate rooms with utility considerations in mind, airflow, power, making sure that any of these rooms could be used for different types of animals.
That's one of the areas where we really had to come together as a team, lean on San Diego Humane Society for their expertise, lean on our contractors and our engineers for their expertise, and come together and try to solve some of these challenging design problems.
We looked at different ways to approach the mechanical systems. We ended up going with 100% outside air units that pull 100% fresh air into the space and exhaust 100% of the air outside. This is really effective for disease control and animal welfare. It also makes sure we don't have transfer of acoustics between different spaces.
Those systems are all separate systems, so the smells aren't going to get into the small animal area, the cat smells aren't going to get into dogs, and vice versa, and that provides a better environment. It's not something that the rest of us would maybe notice so much. For the animals, it's important, and this probably drives people crazy sometimes, but we very much keep the animals in mind as we're going through this. The animals, in terms of providing housing that's appropriate for those animals, will make it easier to clean, and I think just having that appropriate housing makes you feel better about the care that you can provide, the environment that you're providing for those animals. It's all a part of providing that humane experience for the animals that are in our care. The staff, definitely a big consideration in the design and really involved in the design process along the way.
It's always exciting to see staff start moving into the space, seeing how excited they are to use the space, find different ways they're going to utilize the space, sometimes in ways we didn't even think of.
If we can make the care procedures that they have to go through a little bit easier by adding drains pretty much everywhere, that was one of the design objectives, kind of with the goal of making cleaning and caring for these animals a whole lot easier for the staff. It's a fun space. There's visually interesting information, the technology, the color, the light. In these spaces where it's really more about the animals, it's interesting. So kids or families that come through to just look at animals, maybe learn a little bit more. This is definitely a space that supports that and really provides enough space that is public focused and then doesn't impede the work that the volunteers and care providers need to do. And again, the technology provides that an opportunity for visitors, whether adopters or just people that want to check out animals. They can come see what we have and maybe learn a little bit something while they're here.
We all invested a lot of time and energy into making this project the best that it could be, and I think we all feel very proud of what we've been able to accomplish through design and construction, and we're all really excited to get the animals in here and get them adopted.
It really is exciting to see it kind of, like, wow, we're actually gonna finish this thing and we're gonna get to move animals back in here and see how that impacts the animals' lives that we're trying to take care of and how it improves the lives of our coworkers.
One of the coolest parts about the design and construction process is seeing how these designs come to life, being able to communicate those ideas throughout the design, and then see the client's reaction when they see the finished space. And I'll never forget when the CEO walked into the space and said, "This looks exactly like the rendering." That was a really cool moment because it showed that everything that we had spent so much time developing and working with the client to bring their vision to life actually became a reality.
It's going to be cool to see them get in here, and I'm sure there'll be things that we didn't think about, but we're always learning, and we will take those things forward into our next project with the COAR Design Group.